Welcome to Reality Tea Times 2, the podcast where we discuss all the trash reality TV we love to hate. I'm Tanika, and today we're going to be doing our final episode for Perfect Match. Okay, so just as a reminder, this is going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. This is because, again, I don't care about these dates that they do. The main focus is going to be on like the reunion style things and obviously who wins and then where are they now? So let's get into it. We left off with being in the final mixer, and Sandy being a little bit torn between who she's picking. So Sandy ultimately tells JR, "We have done this before. Maybe there's a reason why they didn't do it, after everything. Maybe it had to do with the exes. But the fact that they never explored it even a few months later, after everything or whatever, just kind of goes to show it is what it is, you know what I mean?" She's like, "I can't deny my connection with Lewis." So JR is like, "Okay, cool. So I'm just gonna leave." And he leaves. Juliet is like, "Scott does not calm me. Okay. He's just all over the place." And AD in this moment, girl, gets it. AD is like, "Hey girl, take it down a whole fucking notch, okay? You came in here holding hands with this guy. Scott clearly seems to be a jealous person. Not only that, you left here saying, 'I love you.' Maybe you threw him off a little bit." And she's like, "Then you come in with funny shit." He clocked it, and you're mad that he clocked it. Let's be very real. She is understanding her toxic ass traits. And I love it. Then Zanny talks to Lewis about feeling a way about another man, saying she deserves more, and it's upsetting because it should be obvious. Like, it should be obvious to everybody else that you treat me good. Which is like, listen, yes and no. I think you sometimes have to trust, what you're saying because you're the one in the relationship. So I don't fully agree with that because then to me it sounds like you care about optics, you don't care about the relationship itself. So, anyways, they match. It's fine. Lucy and Daniel match. Rachel and Ray match. Madison and Freddie match. So yeah, we're left basically with Juliet trying to make her decision. Carrington is trying one last time, but she tells him that she's going to be matching um with Scott. And Carrington is pissed because this is the second time she's doing this to him. He said, "You told me all of this shit," saying he's too young, he's not your perfect match, no matter if you like him. He's like, "So all right, you want to play games? Watch me play games." So he goes over to Scott and tells him, "By the way, she said you're not her perfect match. And basically never will be because, well, I can't change my age." And Scott is like, "Fuck that. I'm leaving." Him and Carrington leave together. They're each other's perfect match, basically. And the narcissism of this woman, I don't particularly like her, but the narcissism of this woman, she's like, "I didn't, I, I, I didn't do anything wrong. Like, why are they leaving? Like, why is he leaving? Like, he's so immature. Like, why is he leaving? Bitch, you are gaslighting the fuck out of this man. You literally said, no matter what, he's not my perfect match. Doesn't matter." So the goes to show you're not here trying to find a perfect match. You're here to play a game. And maybe Scott is also here to play a game, potentially, but clearly not if he's like, "Then fuck you." And he leaves. So clearly he's not really here about the game. Um, she's like, "I will never date someone with a 2 in front of their age." It has nothing to do with his age. It has everything to do with his, like, you're trying to make him look like a horrible person, essentially, because of what? Of your own personal problems? Anyway, um, she's like, "Great, now I'm gonna be in, like, a sad montage," and they literally do a sad montage as she's leaving. That is perfect. Anyways, online dating match, and that's that. The couples are doing their final dates, no big deal. Rachel has a crying wall apparently, where basically she has, like, all of her friends who cried on TV. So, like, probably Gabby's up there and, probably everybody in The Bachelor was up there. Susie was probably up there. Hell, I think probably Clayton was up there. Anyone that she was doing with, um, Bachelor in Paradise. There's a lot of crying in Bachelor in Paradise. She probably has a whole her must be covered. It must be the entire wall. It's probably like an accent wall at this point. Seriously. Anyways, now it's time for the fun part. The reunion, y'all. So this is gonna be quick because they don't really focus on one person for very long. Juliet, Carrington, and Scott. Let's go into them. Juliet is like, I think they chose each other. No, I think, well, yes. But essentially, they just didn't want to choose you. And that says more about you than it does about them. So Scott is like, you said all this shit about me. I said, well, you're going to get roasted, my guy. You're going to get roasted. No, he's not. Because for me, I'm thinking he didn't deserve you talking shit about him to your date. And then you want to pretend like he is your perfect match in front of his face. That's called fake behavior. So he did the switch up on your ass. That is, that's how this works. You know, it's apparently he's gonna get roasted. And Karen, you're just salty because I didn't pick you twice. You're not a prize. See, here's the thing. Everyone's like, oh, Juliet's so pretty. Juliet's so pretty. I don't get it. I'm gonna seriously say this. She's fine. She's a fine looking person. She's nothing to go home about. She's not freaking Sandy. Sandy is gorgeous. She's not Lucy. Lucy is also very gorgeous. She's not those women. I mean, hell, even Alex is, she's in cuckoo magoo, but she's beautiful. And she's not those women. So, like, she's nothing to run home about. You're not as good looking as you think you are. You're not a prize. You're not the prize you think you are. You're just not. Anyways, Clayton says, I can see Rachel is happy because he knows what she looks like happy before he broke her heart and said, I'm going to go pick Susie now. And then break her heart again and say, I'm going to not pick you. Anyways, Justine says, this makes sense. Rachel Ray, it makes sense. Sandy says, so we chose each other. I mean, he explored his options, but he still chose me. Honey, that is nothing to go home about. It's not like he explored options the, second, third, fourth, or even fifth day. He decided to do that literally the last hour. That's nothing to go home about. Alex says, you gotta try to get to know me, but like you really didn't get to know me. Ma'am, I have questions. How is he gonna get to know you while you're tonguing each other down? Just curious. I just want to know. Anywho's, JR says she doesn't deserve to be treated like that. She deserves to be treated like a queen, and I can do that. When? Shut up and sit down. Actually, you're sitting down already. Just shush. Anyway, um, Sandy is like, we are not exclusive, so he can do what he wants to do. Okay, all right. She's like, we are dating other people. Anyway, he's gonna move to LA, so we'll see how that goes. Lucy does think with the mixer, the double standard of it all would have made the house, like, if the women did what the men did, it would have just, the house would have erupted into lava and melted. Olivia says, I don't know you, but I think you deserve better. I agree, actually. I do agree. I think Daniel cares for her, but my issue with Daniel is the way he treats her in moments where he feels quote unquote disrespected. He's not very nice to her and talks down to her. Hannah points out, Lewis, you said the truth, but Daniel, like, he's the one that lied. That's true. Lewis was transparent about what happened. Daniel was not. Because Olivia says, I'm not the one he has to go back to. Like, he had to go back to her. So it's very different. Anyways. And she says, they know the fact that he's tonguing me down and then goes home to her and immediately because it's her, it's like, that's disrespectful. You're gonna, like, it's not cool. We talked to Cody briefly. He says there's no bad blood between him and Madison. So whatever. Justine wants to know, Ollie, like, why did you lie to AD about me? Because in this case, it's like, his answer was very weird. He's like, I feel terrible. And it's like, no, sir, how do you think she feels? In Justine's defense, like, I'm always going to ride for AD and I'm always going to ride for Ollie because these are two people I actually seen on the shows or whatever. And I think they do, as much as like I was getting annoyed by them at one point, they've been quiet lately. I ride for them. I love their story. But for Justine, she does seem like a really level-headed woman, and I love seeing it. And the thing here is, you lie to AD, and that sucks that you lie to AD, but how does it make me feel knowing that you couldn't even be honest with her? What does that say about me? What does that say about our connection? You're you're not, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you're denying the connection that we had in order to make sure that you keep AD, which I get, but in the meantime, I'm being torn down to nothing. So she thinks that AD is so deserving of things because she says, like, she said this to AD before, I saw your season. And she wants to say you were stupid for picking Clay, but what were her options? But at the end of the day, though, she's like, I saw your season and I saw how you were being treated. And I know how deserving you are of finding somebody. And it's true. We all, for anyone who didn't, well, there was probably people here who haven't seen Love is Blind. Her season with Clay is a very similar man to JR. And Clay was, you know, in so many ways, was kind of saying things like, well, if I cheat, oh well. Like, you know what I mean? He wasn't serious, nor do I think he was serious about her. And he truly, for whatever reason, blindsided her by not wanting to do the marriage with her. For the outside looking in, we knew Clay wasn't it. We knew that Clay was going to hurt her. And even if they did get married, he was going to cheat on her. We all knew this. AD didn't know this in the moment. And we know how deserving AD was because AD's a vixaho. That's the problem. But she's also such a sweet, kind soul, and she deserves someone to treat her like, I don't want to say queen, but just treat her right. So I think for Justine, she's not just a person in this experience. She is a person who experienced that season with AD like the rest of us. So in her mind, she's thinking, Ollie, and it's very possible she could have seen Ollie's season. To me, Ollie initially comes off across as a guy who is similar to, like, not quite like a Clay or a JR, but he's similar to that. He's very nuanced, very nuanced. I forgot the fact that he had ADHD. He has that. He again, though, is such a kind soul. He is such a sweet man, and I ride hard for Ollie. I really, really, really do. But for Justine in this moment, she's thinking, you couldn't even be honest with her about the connection. You had no reason to lie to her about it, but you did. And I just know what she went through in her season. She doesn't deserve that because Clay already did that to her. So you're showing me tendencies of Clay, and I don't think she deserves that. I will say, in Ollie's defense, he didn't have to lie to her. However, it is the experience. This is the process. And he was doing it. So I don't think Ollie is a bad person. I don't think Ollie isn't deserving of AD and vice versa. I'm not saying that. Just had to go through the process. I think they seem to work very well. We'll see how it goes with their marriage when they get to that point. But AD says that he is my person. And Julia says, I think they're going to get married. You know what, Julia? That's maybe the smartest thing you've said. But Nick has one more test. We have a final compatibility challenge. Wait a minute, I thought the 50-50 thing was was the compatibility challenge, but they're going to be asking questions of each of the couples, and the couples have to answer, or their answers have to match. And if they don't match, the couples are immediately eliminated. And they're going to keep on doing this until we reach only 2 couples that are going to be going forward to potentially become the perfect match and the whole thing. So, Madison and Freddie forgot where their first kiss was, so they are the first ones to get eliminated. Sorry about it. Ray and Rachel also forgot where they had their first kiss, so they are also eliminated. Sorry about it. Sandy and Lewis then get eliminated. So the 2 couples that are going through to the voting is Lucy and Daniel and Ollie and AD. So just to kind of give us a feel of where they're all at here, Juliet votes AD and Ollie, which isn't surprising for me. Lewis voted Daniel and Lucy. Alex voted the same as Lewis. Clayton voted Ollie and AD. So we're kind of getting like, a 50-50 feel of where we're at here. Ultimately, though, the winner of the perfect match was Lucy and Daniel. I didn't see that coming. But I guess it would have been pretty freaking cliche if it was Ollie and AD. But anyways, that is the season. That is the season, y'all. We did it. So I do have a where are they now? Who's still together? And the whole bit. So as a reminder, I'm going to remind you the couples that we had going into the finals. We had AD and Ollie, Lucy and Daniel, Rachel and Ray, Madison and Freddie, and Sandy and Lewis. So who are still together? AD and Ollie. So still together as we know. Though these 2 didn't win a perfect match, they did win in other ways. 6 months after filming Wrapped, these 2 got engaged. And a few months after that, they announced that they were expecting. I guess she's still pregnant. I don't even know. Anyways, Lucy and Daniel. They are not together. Give it up for season 3's winners. However, unfortunately, they didn't have what it took to make things work outside of the villa, as it was revealed during the finale that the pair broke up weeks after filming concluded. I did not see that, by the way. But anyways, Rachel and Ray, not together. Despite connecting later than some of the other couples, Rachel and Ray went into the finale in a solid place, but they did not last. While chatting with Elite Daily, Rachel said the 5 felt too platonic to blossom into something, explaining, quote, we were super late in the process when we formed a relationship, so didn't have much time to progress past a friendship. Madison and Freddie, not together. After being torn apart by the boardroom twist in part 1, Madison and Freddie found their way back to each other, as we know, cementing themselves as one of the steadiest romances in the competition. During an interview with the Light Daily, Freddie admitted that the long distance made things too difficult to last, but the 2 ended things on good terms. Sandy and Lewis. No shock to anyone, they are not together. This one shouldn't be a shocker, as I just said. Even if, long before the finale aired, Lewis stepped out with Love Island USA's Huda Mustafa, making it clear that he and Sandy did not end up lasting in the real world. So, yeah, that is it. That is where they are now. We wish them the best. And that is it for me and this. So the next thing that we're going to be heading into, I think we will be, no, there's still another show that I have to cover from the Christmas holidays. But the next one we're going to be covering is going to be A Night at UK, which I've already done 3 episodes of. And yo, whoa, yikes. So we'll talk about it then. But until then, y'all, that is it. That is it for this episode. If you liked what you heard, bear with me because I have not done an outro for this, for the podcast in quite some time. So bear with me here. So if you liked what you heard, you can go to any of your favorite podcast apps. You can follow, make sure you don't miss a single episode. And you can also rate the podcast at either Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It'd be greatly appreciated. As a reminder, any 5-star ratings that are given to the podcast or any comments that are given to the podcast will be read on the podcast, which I have done in the past. If you want to connect with the podcast through social media, you can find me at Facebook and Instagram at Reality T times 2. You can also find me at Twitter, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Reality times 2 pod. I believe you can email me at realityt times 2 at hotmail.com, and you can have any inquiries, anything like that, any ideas, any shows or episodes you want me to cover, you can definitely do that over there. And I am going back to our old website, and that is at solo.to/reality t times 2. There you can get any of the links to anything that I didn't mention here, any of the socials, website, email, all of that. It's all there for you. And we also have a new thing there where you can help support the podcast as well. It's called a tip jar. And you can tip whatever your heart's desire if you want to support the podcast, but don't want to necessarily support the podcast in going to Patreon, for example, or any of the links in any of the advertisements. You can do it there. But since we're on the topic of Patreon, you can head on over to patreon.com/reality t times 2, where there you can get access to even more than what I do here. There are 3 different tiers where you can get these shows ad free, as well as our next tier up where you would get another reality show that's being covered. So, we have Jersey Shore that's been getting covered. That's still being covered currently at the time of recording of this outro, but the future is bright with what's to come in the future, which I will be discussing, or I have discussed. I don't even know. And then also our next tier is a true crime tier as well. So you can definitely head over for that. But that is basically it. I will also just quickly mention here too, if you're interested in a different take of a podcast that I'm a part of, we do things a little differently, you can head on over to Next Take Podcast, where I usually drop bonus episodes here on this feed, but there you get a lot more. And that podcast is making changes. We're growing, doing new things, but you can definitely head on over there if you want to just hear a little bit different than what I do over here. So you can find that podcast over at our website, solo.to/next take podcast. And there we'll have all the links to your desire that will link you to any of your favorite podcast apps or YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of it. Social medias, it's all over there. But of course, you can still find that podcast at any of your favorite podcast apps. But that is it for this episode. We'll see you next time with another episode. Bye, everybody.